Welcome to Faith in Extraordinary Times. I'm Dave, and our guest today is Reverend Yunusa Nmadu. Yunusa is CEO of CSW Nigeria, and he's also General Secretary of ECWA, which is a denomination of over 6,000 churches and around 10 million members. How do you remember all those names, Yunusa? 10 million people.
Well, I'm not meant to remember them. There are pastors who is their responsibility.
Okay, good.
At the grassroots.
Sure. Okay, that's much more manageable for you.
Yes.
Well, a warm welcome to you. Let's just start. It'd be great to know how long have you been part of CSW?
I've been part of CSW since 2008. That will be 12 years from today. So that was in February 2008. So yeah, I'm 12 years now being part of the CSW family. When I first went into that office as an intern for 2 weeks.
You went from intern and then immediately to CEO of CSW.
So to beginning the Nigerian office. So
that's a big promotion.
Oh yeah.
Very good. So we know that really since, I guess, around November, December of 2019, the situation in Nigeria has really quite seriously deteriorated. Can you just tell us what that's actually looked like for you on the ground there?
Well, the situation in Nigeria has been very bad. Like I usually tell people, it gets worse each time, especially with the coming in of this government since 2015. The situation has deteriorated very rapidly. And I believe that, before now we were dealing with Boko Haram, but then we had pockets of Fulani herdsmen menace. But with the coming of this government, the Fulani kind of became emboldened that their activities, nefarious activities, became widespread across the country. And so attacks have increased, coupled with the increase in kidnapping of people, church leaders. So it's a whole basket full. You have terrorism, you have militia activities, you have bandits, you have kidnappers. So the whole security architecture has failed completely.
And can you give us an idea of what one of those Fulani militia attacks looks like?
Well, the Fulani attack, usually it's a raid of a community. And in most cases, if there are 10 Fulani attacks, then I can tell you that 9 out of those 10 are on Christian communities, predominantly Christian communities. So usually they will come in, when they began, they will come in the night where the people are sleeping, and they will round up the community, begin to shoot sporadically to scare the people. And as they come out, when you wake up from sleep, you are confused. As people come out in the night from their sleep, they round them up and kill as many as they can, burn up the places. In some cases, they even chase them out and take over their land, burn their houses, destroy their goods, and send them out of the village. Sometimes they occupy the villages, sometimes they don't. So this is what has been happening. And the targets, like I said, have been predominantly Christian communities.
Yeah, the attacks are shocking. And obviously I was there with you, I guess, a couple of years ago now, and visited 1 or 2 sites. And yeah, it's really, really awful. So I know that many people won't even have heard of the Fulani herdsmen, even though I think certainly a few years ago, but probably even worse now, they were known as the 4th most deadly terrorist organization in the world. Not only that, but a lot of these attacks, they're portrayed in the media as clashes between herders and farmers. can you explain to us why do you think it is that these attacks are carrying on without with impunity? Like, why is nothing being done about it? And why, even in the UK, are they being portrayed as just clashes between two different groups?
Well, Dave, you know, when you have a problem and you have not put an handle to it, then it is difficult to find a solution. First of all, the narrative says that it is Fulani herders and farmers clash. And except we have a new definition of what a clash is, if what we all know as in English to be a clash, then this is a very wrong narrative. It's not just wrong, it is a lazy narrative and subversion of the truth. Because when you say something is a clash, it involves two people coming against each other, isn't it? Two or more people coming against each other. So I don't know, I don't see how it is a clash when I'm sleeping in my house and somebody comes in the night. We've never had previous fight with him, no quarrels, nothing. In fact, I don't know him. And then he comes in the night and begins to shoot at me, kill my family members, burn down my house. I run away because I have no weapon to challenge him. Neither do I. I'm not even prepared. I didn't even know he was coming for the attack. And you call that a clash, then we need a new definition for the English word clash. But I think it is a narrative that fits into the government's explanation of what is happening. In my view, it is so that they can mislead the international community to believe that what is happening in our country is internal, it is something that is normal, it's just clash, it's tribal. I mean, they call it all sorts of names. In fact, there's another explanation given to the narrative to say that it is fight for land and the desertification that is causing this. And all of these are just very lazy way of explaining what is happening in Nigeria. What we know is ethnic cleansing. What we know is terrorism by these people. The government have refused to tackle it headlong. Perhaps they are gaining from it, I wouldn't know. But then we believe that these people have attacked Christian communities and the government have looked the other way all the time, always. When the attacks occur, they come out to tell us they're on top of the situation. Another attack will occur, they tell us they're on top of the situation. And Christian communities are being impoverished because of their economy is going, the people are dying, orphans are being produced every now and then because their parents are killed. And nobody is saying anything, and these people go scot-free. Nobody is arresting them. And because nobody is being prosecuted, the culture of impunity, just goes on without being challenged because nobody is being prosecuted. And this is why most of us think that if this thing is happening and people come in to attack a community and they go scot-free, and after some times they come back again and do the same thing.
Amen. We're in lockdown right now from our different homes. Can you just give us a bit of an idea what impact has coronavirus had in Nigeria?
Oh, the impact is huge. There is the coronavirus with the attendant lockdown has brought a lot of hardship upon Nigerians in general. We are a rental economy in the sense that we depend on oil, and only what we sell is what we get to finance our budget. And like you do know, the oil price has really crashed. I'm told that it is at $20 per barrel, the crude, or even less right now. So such people have been shut down in their homes or locked down, like the new vocabulary is now. they've been locked down in their homes, and they cannot do business. And so it's bringing untold hardship to the people. And this is also impacting the church very well, because like you do know, the church depends on the offerings of the people. But as it is now, people cannot meet, and we are not such an enlightened community that issue of giving online, it's popularized. We are just waking up to such use of modern ways of doing things. So people are used to coming to church to give physically. So this is a challenge. The offerings are not longer coming. And then our members are among those who earn their daily living on daily basis. And so they look up to the church to provide for them palliatives, because the government palliative is not honestly distributed. And then here is the church not earning. So you see, it's such a complex issue, situation for the church. So for us, there is the challenge of hunger, there is the challenge of insecurity, there is also the challenge of people not even believing the COVID-19 to exist, because of how some governments have handled the whole thing. So the whole thing is very confusing.
Mm. It's certainly a really, really hard time, a dark time in many ways in central and northern Nigeria at the moment. But being there with you and an amazingly joy-filled church as well, what's encouraged you in your work recently?
God is with us, and that what we are doing is worth it, because people who are being helped, people whose lives are being touched, are appreciative of what we are doing as church leaders, as voices for the voiceless. It's like if you are not there, then there is a huge vacuum. So we are encouraged to do more, because one, we have seen God at work miraculously protecting and guiding us and providing for us in many ways we never thought of. And then people who ordinarily do not have a voice, like the case of the orphanage that we've been campaigning for some times now, where the government just clamped down on them, and they have nowhere to go to. All the rented apartments they are using in Kano and Kaduna, they are being chased out of those places. The man who runs the professor who runs the orphanage has been held for about 2 months now without bail for a bailable offense, because the government simply thinks that it is a center to Christianize people, not minding the effect of their action on these children who have been in this home and have seen these two people as their parents. So, I spoke with her this morning incidentally just before this interview, and our situation looks hopeless, but by the time we finish talking, you could just hear some hope, and some encouragement coming from her. So these are some of the things that encourages us as we carry on with our work.
Excellent. Let's just use this opportunity, actually, if people want to campaign for Professor Tafa and the Children of Mercy Orphanage, you can do that now at csw.org.uk/campaigns. Please speak up for those children and Professor Tafa in prison at the moment. It'd be good to just end, Yunusa, just share with us perhaps, how can we pray for you at the moment?
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate the fact that the Church Universal have been praying for those who are suffering for their faith, including us here in Nigeria. Please keep praying. Pray that God will strengthen us in the face of this persecution, that will not give up our faith, and that we will stand for the truth and speak the truth at any time fearlessly. Pray also that God will continue to protect, and pray for provision for the church in Nigeria at this time, because the financial situation is very, very hard.
Okay, well, we'll be sure to do that. It's always a real encouragement to talk to you, and thank you so much for your time. Bless
Thank
you
you.
and your family, Yunusa.
Thank you.